Hello and welcome back. In the last video we updated the testing framework. So now it just consists of basically one test runner, and we can write our cases in a very convenient way like this, where we just write what the test code should be and what the expected output should be. So we can even write a new one that we can call generic, and let's do something like this, where we loop from 0 to 10, we increment the thing, we print, and then we just write what we expect to get out. Actually, I discovered a couple of things, which is that the output wasn't actually printing the output, it was printing the expected output, so that's fixed. But now we have a very convenient test framework to write new test cases. So now we're going to continue with the resolution framework we were building. Okay, so whenever we're resolving something, we end up calling this resolve local. And that thing calls the interpreter, which will store some information in there. And it's quite possible that this will change, that the resolver doesn't have an interpreter, because they kind of maybe should be separate, but whatever. So let's go to the interpreter. And what we need now is some locals, and it's quite likely that it has to be shared like this, and just import hash map, and it should be a hash map from expressions to I32, or even usize, I think we could say, because it has to be positive. Now, an important question is, will this even work? Like, is this thing hashable? Let's try to check the code. We need a comma here. Comma. Okay, it wasn't too unhappy, so let's say not there, rather. It should be here. Locals is a new ref cell to hash map new, and basically the same here. Let's try that. And there's another one down here. So it's not unhappy with this. But will it actually work? Let's just try to add a quick test where we'll say get a hash map, and we'll add a test. I'll just add it up here, I guess, that we call express hashable. So I just want to see if it even works a little bit. So hash map new, and should be mutable, and we can call insert, I think it's called. Let's also just copy this expression to make it easy. And then for this expression, actually I'm gonna call it just expression. Let's insert 2 or whatever, and then I'm pretty sure it will fail somehow. Let's try this. And match map.get expression. It should be none, because this is like, even though it looks the same, it should be a different one. If that makes sense. Just don't do any message. And I keep forgetting it's a comma. Okay, so that means we need to, if we want to do it like this, we need to implement the hash trait. So let me see how to do that. Okay, so let's see if this works. So I'm implementing my own hash function for expression, which uses like this built-in function pointer hash, which is supposed to take like the address of it and hash that. Let's see if it works even a little bit. Okay, so we can also try to implement eq, and let me look up what the function is called. Okay, so here we go. First of all, let me remove this and this, and then we just add it up here. Partial eq and eq. Go back down there. Okay, so we have the hashing function, which should just take the pointer and hash that. And then to get equality, I kind of use a trick where I just compare the hashes of the pointers. I mean, if it were C, I would just compare the pointers themselves. But I was not really able to do that. Like, I want to do this, but it doesn't let me do that. What if we say usize? No. We can try this macro. Let's try that. Address of self. And it's a macro. So that seemed to work. It says it can just be a place. So actually, let's try this implementation instead. We get the addresses and we compare whether they are equal. And then really in the hashing function, we could just return the addresses as well. Well, maybe there's something with the state, so probably like an upper limit on what this value can be, so maybe it's a good idea to... And actually it doesn't return anything, so we need to use the state. Anyway, let's check it. Now these values, all of this stuff is not used for anything. Do that, and let's run the test now. It's a bit of a wait. It passed. So let's look at the test again. It's this one. We make two nodes that are identical, but in principle like different places in memory, and the test works. Let's try something. Test erroneously, it's like that. Thought the two values were the same. And now we want to panic here, unable to retrieve value. And if it's sum, we just assume it's okay. That it did not like. Interesting. So can we like, no, that doesn't work. So with this scheme, because insert takes ownership, we can never get it out again, which is quite unfortunate. So actually that means we probably need to do something like this. Like we do that, but then we run into another another problem. Right, so here we can just clone it, run the test. Okay, let's try this. Still, is it? Let's just to verify that it's even running it. Okay, express hashable. Good. And it is getting the value out again. So we'll have to do it like this, because insert, that's very annoying. So I think it's just unavoidable because we're using this like relatively large data type. Like it's not just a number or a string or something. Okay. So let's get back on track. Now we really need this to be an RC of expression. The rest should be good because we just used, no, I didn't mean to test it. Okay. Some kind of Java thing here. Let's avoid that. Avoid thinking about that. Okay. So now what happens if we look up a variable expression in the interpreter? Let me see something. Right. So let's first fix this one. And we will say actually, what if we don't do this? Is this a thing? No. Ah, and then we go down here. This one we don't want either. Run the test. And then we okay, some nice warnings, whatever. Yeah, and now it failed. Unable to retrieve value. Let's go back here. quite curious what happens if we do this. What if we do that? Unable to retrieve value. This is not great. You know what? Maybe we need a different approach. Maybe we need to forget about trying to... no, not that one. Let me find it like this. It's an enum. Maybe we need to add IDs to all of these. And because, yeah, if I go here, now the test works. Now the test works. Then we go into, still an error. Because this one we need to clone. Now the test passes, but then in here where we are inserting, it has to be an RC. We cannot just do this. Pretty sure it will fail. Right, so we have to borrow this mutably here. Yeah, so it needs an RC. So we could like do this, but for sure it's not gonna work. And I don't think... Yeah, so that doesn't work either. Which is unfortunate. So what I'm going to do, because it's not so easy to have multiple owners of data, which is kind of what we need here. Or like, it's not so easy also to just use the address of something. Oh, wait a second. What am I saying? Probably we can just say address is std pointer address of this thing. And then we put the address in there. And then it's just usize, I think. Let's try that. And again, it's not a function. We have to remember the exclamation mark because it's very serious when you use macros. Okay, so now we can just cast it to usize. I think we might be good. Yeah, so I guess that's how you do it. And borrow mutably. Can that fail? Can we do that? Let me check something. So there is a way to get like a result type like this one. We can call try borrow mutably, but I'm quite happy if it panics. Okay, finally, let's try this. So in the interpreter, if we visit a variable expression which we have not sure exactly which one he is talking about. I mean, expression.variable. Interpreter now has access to each variables. Finally, we get to make use of that. Place the visit method for the variable expressions. So I think that would actually be in here. Not that, but this one. Yeah, so it's this method. Okay. Now we have a problem, possibly. So we need to supply this information, the distance, evaluation distance, somewhere. And so here he's just getting it there. So we can either move this locals thing into here, but that doesn't really make sense because the interpreter is supposed to hold all the state, and we'll just have like many disembodied expressions in principle. So we cannot really move it, and that probably means we need to get it. So let's say distance is, he just calls get, but that, let's make a method that's called get distance, which takes a reference and returns a result. So we can unwrap it, and then we will do like this. And then the compiler will tell us the rest. So let's make a function here that is called get distance, which takes, maybe we can take a reference to self instead of a mutable reference. We need to do this, that, and then we need to say, wait, so the result has to be nothing but a usize. So we have to say self.locals.borrow.try get, most likely, the address. See if that works. So argument is unexpected. Let's just see if it more or less compiles by removing that. Okay, so let's try to look it up. Not in that one. In hash map, get, really strange they don't have a, probably the get already has. Okay, the get is already wrapped. So we will say get, and we will match that. We will match that. Maybe, what does he do if it's not there? Yeah, okay. Hmm. 'Cause Okay. So now we have to change things again. Okay, so first we get it. Well, we don't need that anymore. Now we just return that. And now we really do need the globals, which also will be like a small environment. And globals. Let me copy that. Is it, can I just place it wherever? Globals, globals. Okay. Now, actually, these functions need to be something different because the globals, they have to be, actually, all of this is wrong. So I'm gonna put globals here as well. Globals actually might not have to have a ref cell because well, maybe we are gonna change that. Anyway, so here when we make an environment for the closures, we just clone the globals. And similarly, down here, the globals are actually just a clone. And up here, it's actually like this. The environment starts out empty. And the globals has this clock function and other things defined inside it. So let's try to see if that compiles. It does not compile because we need to add these arguments. Now we have a problem because this place does not have a globals. That is unfortunate. And it could mean that we need to do this, which I'm not super happy about. Because then every time we make a closure, we will... But actually, what if this just returns this? And could we have like a constant globals thing, which is an environment equal to, just gonna make it a new environment for now. And here we won't do that. We will just say, give me a, well, it cannot be constant, but it should be static mutable, I think. And then we do that and actually return it. Likely this is not going to work. So, similar name static globals defined here. help a static with a similar name exists. Right, so here we just say, actually, maybe this is more transparent. I don't know. Let's try that. And here we will just clone it. So that every time you get globals, you get like a reference to that. So interpreter, get globals. And this one doesn't have to be wrapped. It can just, we can actually just remove that. Interpreter get globals. Let's see how wrong it will go. Right. I did something silly. And it's called global, which is obviously wrong. It should be globals. And he will say okay or else. Well, we actually don't want to do that. All right, great. Let's see here. Mismatch types, expected reference, sure, and 96. No, wait a second. Expected use size found, okay, whatever. So it's because this thing returns a reference to the value, but it's just a number, so we can. Okay. Cannot call non-constant function. Yes, I was worried about that. Okay, I think we need to use this create lazy static. It's possible using this macro, it's possible to have statics that require code to be executed at runtime in order to be initialized, which is kind of funny that it's not just built in. I guess we can use any version. Then we go here and we will say so now it's building and then, or downloading and then building. So it will take a while. Okay, now it's kind of running, but it doesn't like the RC, which is a problem, but maybe it's just the lack of a space, even though that would be really weird. No, it's not that. That is problematic. Okay, I see what I did wrong. It's because actually all of this stuff has to go inside. And that was also wrong. There we go. It really looks horrible, but I guess that's how it is. Okay, we don't need the mutable because it's already wrapped in a ref cell. Do we put ref? I'm not sure why, but I will do it. Interesting. Why? But we can make a hash map if I just like copy this code. Let's do that. So, okay, that one we can remove. Globals. So now it's fine with this. Okay, so a hash map you can, but can I just like implement sync for environment? Or is it, no, it was the RC, so it's not gonna help. And just call it unsafe. Yeah, sync trade is not implemented for that. Let me try something. There is this one we can try to use, which I think also is in here, which is supposed to be for, let me look at it. Okay, I'm beginning to feel like something is quite wrong with this approach. Now, one thing but okay, but we will never modify it. So maybe that's an important point. Let's remove it. And so two things. An environment is just a hash map and then potentially another hash map or another environment. But like it's a string of hash maps. The global one will never have an enclosing one, so it can just be a hash map. And it will also be constant, so we don't need to modify it. So we can say, let me see, so it's from string to literal value, and we can do the same thing that they do down here. So what do we want in this? We want the clock thing. So we will insert clock to string, and the value is this. And I'm happy with that. We return M. We are done with that. Now I think quite happy. What is it saying now? This thing cannot be shared between threads safely. Can I just... What the hell? Okay, now I tried another package, but still doesn't really work. So I think we have to go back to the idea where we are copying the data all the time like this. Which is not nice. But it's complaining about thread safety all the time. And I mean, maybe that's something we should then think about, but I don't think that we're gonna do that right now. And now that I say that, I mean, I guess it's just a hash map now from string to literal value. Let's make it as simple as possible. This one isn't gonna work. So get globals is just a hash map from string to literal value. It's not like we can make this one constant, right? Or static, constant, whatever. Clock function. So let's get rid of that. Let's go in here and get rid of that because we're not going to use it anyway. Check it again. Let get globals. All right. And we shouldn't make an environment. We should make a hash map, new, and then it's called insert. And insert can fail, I think. Hash map. So I'm going to unwrap that. All right, now globals get yeah, so still this doesn't work. Oops. We cannot make this thing. Actually, can we make it static then? Because it was complaining about the constant thing. And still we cannot make it static because this thing has to be thread safe. So that is something we might want to think about later. Like, how do we do threading with this thing, which is gonna be super complicated, but whatever. We won't do it now. Okay, that was a lot of effort for not a lot of stuff. And we have an unused thing, so let's go up into this one, 482, run the tests again. And it failed here in one test. Interesting. Cargo run test cases fun mod. Failed to create. Failed to create. So why is it failing? Let me see here. Okay, so actually, if the map does not has this key present, none is returned. So that is actually expected. That should return none. So we'll remove that. Now the test is still failing somehow. So let's go into tests, cases, and this should not fail. Okay, let me fix up this error message. Okay, so here in the consume, it will not fix all error messages, but whatever. But here in consume, we will, instead of just repeating a message, we will say at line something, this error happened. So now when we run it, it will say line 2 and line 14 are problems. So if I go into this thing, all right, we cannot run it like that because, well, it's saying line 2 is an issue. That's very weird. But let's run cargo test. And now it's miraculously okay. So let's forget that happened. Right, so it's really weird. But whatever, things are working now. Okay, I think we got super sidetracked with thinking about how to set up the globals. And unfortunately, I cannot think of anything better than just like making a new hash map every time we need a new environment. I mean, well, okay, so what we really should do is to again put it into an RC so we have some shared memory. Then we have to also supply it here so these guys can take a copy. Let me do that, and then we stop for now because I need to learn. Actually, so I guess the problem originally was that for this one, for anonymous functions, they live in here, in this method when they're interpreted. So wait, anon function. So right here, this line. Then we would need to supply a globals there, which I don't want to do. I don't want to put it into the evaluate function. So what I'm going to try to do is to put it into the environment instead. Maybe. Because it also makes sense that the environment would have the globals. Now, you know what? I'm going to do it this simple way for now, and then we'll fix it another time. Now, you know what? I changed my mind again, I think, because, like, for example, it will make this stuff more complicated if we have a separate globals thing. So yeah, it'll be right back. Okay, so at least now we got something. Okay, I'm going to add, I think I'm done for now because I'm starting to go crazy. So I'm gonna add a quick test here that will check that we actually have the clock function available. And then we're going to print a minus a, just as kind of like a hack, so we can expect 0 to come out. Now when I run the tests, it will for sure fail, because it says variable clock has not been declared. And the reason is, but actually we should be able to fix that quite quickly. We say get. Now, if there's no value in my values and there's no enclosing, then I'm the topmost and I can check in the global. So self.globals.borrow.getName. And that's it. We don't need these variables actually. Now, there is nothing like that. Go back to environment. Because it's not a ref cell, it's just an RC. Let me try this one instead. That's interesting. No, please. So we'll just clone the value that we get out. Let's try now. And now it passes. So now we can actually also use. Okay. So we got super sidetracked. I think. And but the locals, the globals, you could argue belongs in the environment. Which I think is okay. We'll be copying a lot of references, but there's no way around that. And the locals definitely has to be in the interpreter, because that has to do with interpretation. So I'm gonna stop now, and we'll try to continue in the next video.